Can you see the PPT? Anyone please, can you see the PPT now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, today we will be studying about one of the sexually transmitted disease, that is gonorrhea in reproductive system. Before this you must have studied about syphilis, which is very common sexually transmitted disease. Similarly, gonorrhea is other common sexually transmitted disease. It is classical venereal disease. Why name gonorrhea has been kept? In Greek word, gonos means seed or semen and rhoia means flow. What clinical feature was seen in first time was there was continuous flow from non-erectile male urethra. Continuous flow from non-erectile male urethra. So it was named in Greek as gonorrhea, because the literal meaning of gonos is semen and rhoia means flow. There was continuous flow from non-erectile male urethra, so this disease was named as gonorrhea. Discharge that occurs in gonorrhea, it has foul smell. Transmission occurs by unsafe sexual contact. And other important thing, prevalence of gonorrhea is higher in 20 to 25 years age group males compared to females. Gonorrhea is more common among males compared to females. Among males also, sexually active is mostly among unmarried boys. 20 to 25 years males, it is common compared to females. Now, this is gonorrhea. Causative agent of gonorrhea is bacteria called Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Gonorrhea is disease. Neisseria gonorrhoeae is the name of bacteria which is causative agent of disease gonorrhea. ख्याल गर्ने लास्टमा ए छ भने गोनोरिया, that is disease. लास्टमा एई Neisseria gonorrhoeae छ भने that is bacteria. So causative agent of gonorrhea is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. If we observe morphology of Neisseria gonorrhoeae, it is gram-negative diplococci. Gram-negative, it appears pink in color, diplococci. It is cocci, spherical in shape, diplo means two. Two spherical shaped Neisseria gonorrhoeae will appear together. That is called diplococci. It is gram-negative intracellular diplococci. If we observe morphology, adjacent end of both bacteria which are in pair, that is concave. So it appears like bean or kidney. So it is gram-negative intracellular diplococci. It appears bean-shaped or kidney-shaped because adjacent ends are concave, and it is pileated. It contains pili or pili, what you say, and capsule. It is pileated and capsulated. This is morphology of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. If you observe Neisseria gonorrhoeae under microscope by performing gram staining, just observe near the arrow. Can you see two cocci are present together? Two cocci are present together. So it is diplococci and it appears pink, so it is gram-negative. In gram staining, this bacteria is appearing gram-negative diplococci. This is gram stain appearance of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Now, cultural characters. Which media is required? How these bacteria appear? This comes under cultural characters. This bacteria Neisseria gonorrhoeae, it prefers presence of 5 to 10% carbon dioxide for its growth. It prefers 5 to 10% carbon dioxide for its growth. So it is capnophilic bacteria. It grows in chocolate agar, Thayer Martin media, and New York City media. It do not grow in nutrient agar. It requires enriching substance, blood. which is heated, which becomes chocolate in appearance, so that is called chocolate agar. If blood agar is heated, it becomes chocolate agar. This is enriched media. So this bacteria grows in chocolate agar, or selective media for Neisseria gonorrhea are Fair-Martin media and New York City media. Fair-Martin media is most commonly used selective media. So this bacteria can grow either in chocolate agar or in Fair-Martin media. Why Fair-Martin media is selective? Because it selectively enhances growth of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Fair-Martin media becomes selective due to presence of 4 antibiotics within it. Among 4 antibiotics, V, C, N, T, vancomycin, colistin, nystatin, and trimethoprim. V for vancomycin, C for colistin, N for nystatin, T for trimethoprim. It contains 4 antibiotics: vancomycin, colistin, nystatin, and trimethoprim, VCNT, which inhibit growth of other gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. It just enhances growth of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. So, Fair-Martin media is selective media for Neisseria gonorrhoeae. It means Neisseria gonorrhoeae can grow on either chocolate agar or on Fair-Martin media. Now, what type of colony characters will be seen either on chocolate agar or Fair-Martin media? 4 types of colonies can be seen. Neisseria gonorrhoeae colonies can exist in 4 types: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. T1 means type 1, T2 means type 2, type 3 and type 4. T1, T2, T3 and T4. 4 types of colonies can be seen. Type 1 and type 2, T1 and T2, they are small and virulent. Small and virulent, T1 and T2. They are small, brown and glistening colonies will be seen on chocolate agar or Fair-Martin media, while type 3 and type 4, T3 and T4, they are large. Colonies are large, which are avirulent, not pathogenic, not disease causing. Type 1 and type 2 are virulent, they are disease causing, they are small, brown and glistening. Type 1 and type 2 colonies, T1 and T2, on further incubation, they also get converted into type 3 and type 4 colonies, T3 and T4. So, generally what we observe, type of colonies seen on culture media after performing bacterial culture, they are type 1 and type 2, which are small, brown and glistening colonies. They are virulent, they are disease causing. Among biochemical reactions generally for Neisseria gonorrhoeae, all biochemical reactions are inert. They do not show any biochemical reactions, but the most differential feature of Neisseria gonorrhoeae is if we perform oxidase test will be positive and it ferments only glucose sugar. There are 2 species of Neisseria most pathogenic: Neisseria gonorrhoeae and Neisseria meningitidis. Neisseria gonorrhoeae, it causes sexually transmitted disease. Neisseria meningitidis, it causes meningitis and septicemia. How to differentiate Neisseria meningitidis and Neisseria gonorrhoeae? Both are oxidase positive, but only glucose sugar is fermented in case of Neisseria gonorrhoeae, and along with glucose, maltose sugar is also fermented by Neisseria meningitidis. Remember, glucose, G, is for Neisseria gonorrhoeae, G. Neisseria meningitidis, M, it ferments glucose as well as maltose, M. In this way you can remember, this is medical mnemonics. So only glucose sugar is fermented by Neisseria gonorrhoeae but not maltose. So oxidase positive and only glucose sugar fermentation test positive by Neisseria gonorrhoeae. This morphology, cultural characters and biochemical reactions of Neisseria gonorrhoeae, they can be helpful during lab diagnosis for confirmatory identification of this bacteria. Now, what are antigenic characters or virulence factors of Neisseria gonorrhoeae? First important virulence factor is capsule. It contains capsule which has a role in anti-phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is process of killing microorganism. If any bacteria enters inside the host cell, there will be phagocytosis. Immune cells will engulf it. But due to presence of capsule, this bacteria can survive. It will not be engulfed by immune cells. So this capsule has a role in anti-phagocytosis, which helps in survival of bacteria inside host cell. Other important virulence factor is pili or pili, whatever you say. Pili, it helps in surface attachment. Similarly, other important virulence factor is outer membrane protein, OMP. Outer membrane protein, OMP. Outer membrane protein, it contains three components: pore, OPA, and RMP. Pore means porine, OPA means opacity factor, and other is RMP. RMP has no role in pathogenesis, but pore of outer membrane protein, it helps in invasion and multiplication of this bacteria. OPA or opacity factor of outer membrane protein, it helps in tight attachment so that during micturition also this bacteria is not flushed out. So OPA factor of outer membrane protein helps in tight attachment. That's why it is not, this bacteria is not flushed out during micturition also. Similarly, other virulence factor is IgA protease. It helps or it protects against IgA, secretory immunoglobulin IgA. IgA antibody will try to clear this bacteria, kill this bacteria, but due to presence of IgA protease, it helps in survival of bacteria inside the host cell. Similarly, other important virulence factor is endotoxin or lipo-oligosaccharide. Generally, in other bacteria, lipopolysaccharide may be present, but here in this lipo-oligosaccharide is present, which is also called endotoxin. It causes clinical infection. So these are various virulence factors. Now pathogenesis, how it causes disease. How Neisseria gonorrhoeae causes gonorrhea, this comes under pathogenesis. While studying pathogenesis, first thing you have to remember is source of infection, then mode of transmission, then incubation period, then mechanism of infection, how it leads to disease. First, source of infection. Source of infection for gonorrhea are patient or asymptomatic carriers. Patient means infected person, either male or female. Similarly, other source of infection can be asymptomatic carrier. Mostly females are asymptomatic carrier. Most important feature of this bacteria, this you must know, female's genital tract. It contains squamous epithelial cell in vagina. It contains squamous epithelial cell. So, due to presence of squamous epithelial cell, this Neisseria gonorrhoeae cannot attach and multiply in this squamous epithelial cell. It do not have receptor in squamous epithelial cell. This may be one reason, or due to presence of acidic pH in vagina, this bacteria may not survive. So, males, this Neisseria gonorrhoeae infection or gonorrhea is more common or symptomatic among males, but among females, females are less infected. If infected, it may be asymptomatic also. They may act as asymptomatic carrier. This is the reason why gonorrhea is more common among males but less common among females. If females are infected, they will be asymptomatic carrier. So source of infection can be patient or asymptomatic carrier. Now mode of transmission. How it is transmitted? It is transmitted through unsafe sexual contact with infected partner. So unsafe sexual contact, it leads to transmission of infection to other healthy partner. Incubation period ranges from 2 to 8 days. Almost after 1 week of unsafe sexual intercourse, if other partner is suffering from gonorrhea, it will lead to development of clinical features in initially healthy partner. Now, mechanism, how disease develops, how clinical features of gonorrhea appear. Mechanism. First, patient or asymptomatic carrier, any, they contain Neisseria gonorrhoeae in their urogenital tract. Due to unsafe sexual contact, Neisseria gonorrhoeae infects initially healthy partner. Now, after Neisseria gonorrhoeae has reached initially healthy partner due to unsafe sexual contact, pili of this bacteria, it makes surface attachment. It attaches, pili helps in surface attachment of this bacteria to the urogenital tract. Then OPA or opacity factor, OPA of outer membrane protein, it makes tight attachment in urogenital tract so that it do not get flushed out during micturition also. Remember, pili helps in surface attachment and OPA factor of outer membrane protein, it helps in tight attachment so that during micturition also it is not cleared, it is not flushed out from the urogenital tract. It means OPA factor helps in tight attachment to the urogenital tract by this bacteria and bacteria will survive there. Then pore of outer membrane protein, it makes invasion and multiplication of this bacteria in the urogenital tract. Then capsule helps in antiphagocytosis, so there will be survival of bacteria in the host. Now finally, lipo-oligosaccharide or endotoxin component, it induces clinical features of gonorrhea. This is very important mechanism. Patient or asymptomatic carrier contain Neisseria gonorrhoeae in urogenital tract. Due to unsafe sexual contact, Neisseria gonorrhoeae infects healthy partner. Pili makes surface attachment. OPA of outer membrane protein helps in tight attachment. Pore makes invasion and multiplication. Capsule helps in antiphagocytosis. It will lead to survival of bacteria in the new host. And lipo-oligosaccharide component, it induces clinical features of gonorrhea. There is other mechanism also mentioned in pathogenesis of gonorrhea. How bacteria survives? It is by antigenic mimicry. Antigenic mimicry means hiding antigenic characters or changing antigenic characters. Neisseria gonorrhoeae brings about change in antigenic structure. Neisseria gonorrhoeae has capacity to bring about change in its antigenic structure so that antibody formed against this bacteria cannot clear it because it has changed its antigenic structure. So if antibody cannot clear that, there will be survival of Neisseria gonorrhoeae in urogenital cells leading to infection. So antigenic mimicry is other mechanism of pathogenesis which will lead to survival of bacteria in the urogenital tract, which will lead to development of clinical features of gonorrhea. Now, what are the clinical features seen in gonorrhea? Generally, gonorrhea, it may be either local gonorrhea or disseminated gonorrhea. In case local means at local site, disseminated means spread by hematogenous route and it can reach any other body part. So gonorrhea can be local gonorrhea or disseminated gonorrhea. Clinical features seen in case of local gonorrhea is urethritis and cervicitis. In case of males, urethritis, which is characterized by dysuria, painful urination and continuous flow from urethra. From non-erectile male urethra, there will be continuous flow of discharge. This is urethritis. Urethritis is characterized by dysuria and continuous flow from urethra. In case of females, along with urethritis, there can be cervicitis also. Cervicitis is characterized by foul-smelling discharge. So, in local gonorrhea, mostly in case of males, there will be urethritis, and in case of females, there can be urethritis and cervicitis. Urethritis is characterized by dysuria and continuous flow from urethra. Cervicitis, it is characterized by foul-smelling discharge. Other type of gonorrhea is disseminated gonorrhea. This local gonorrhea, it has features of urethritis and cervicitis. But in disseminated gonorrhea, disseminated means it is disseminated to various, it is spread to various body parts through hematogenous spread. It is spread from blood stream. Along with flow of blood, Neisseria gonorrhoeae can reach any other body part than urogenital tract. This is called disseminated gonorrhea, and if it reaches joints, it will lead to arthritis. If it reaches heart, it will lead to endocarditis. If it reaches bones, it will lead to osteomyelitis. If it can cross blood-brain barrier and if it reaches meninges, it will lead to meningitis. So, through hematogenous spread, Neisseria gonorrhoeae can cause disseminated gonorrhea, which may be in the form of either arthritis or endocarditis or osteomyelitis or meningitis. So, these are clinical features of gonorrhea. Along with this, there are other complications or clinical features shown in gonorrhea. One is pelvic inflammatory disease. Other is pharyngeal gonorrhea. Gonorrhea in pharynx. It is due to uncommon sexual practice. Due to urogenital sex, it will lead to pharyngeal gonorrhea, which is very dangerous to treat. It is almost untreatable or difficult to treat. Other type of gonorrhea is anorectal gonorrhea. Anorectal gonorrhea is seen among homosexuals. Similarly, other clinical feature of gonorrhea can be perihepatitis. Perihepatitis, inflammation of liver or around the liver. Perihepatitis, which is also called Fitz-Hugh-Curtis syndrome. Along with this, in case of neonates, it can cause ophthalmia neonatorum. Ophthalmo related to eye, neonatorum in neonates. If mother's genital tract contains Neisseria gonorrhoeae, if mother is containing Neisseria gonorrhoeae in her urogenital tract, during delivery, Neisseria gonorrhoeae can transmit from mother's genital tract to eye of neonate, which will lead to conjunctivitis. This conjunctivitis in neonate due to transmission of Neisseria gonorrhoeae to infant's eye from infected mother's genital tract during delivery is called ophthalmia neonatorum. So, conjunctivitis in neonate due to Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Conjunctivitis in neonate due to transmission of Neisseria gonorrhoeae to infant's eye from infected mother's genital tract during delivery. This conjunctivitis in neonate due to Neisseria gonorrhoeae is called ophthalmia neonatorum. Remember, it is due to vertical transmission, but it is not congenital. This Neisseria gonorrhoeae cannot cross the placenta. Inside uterus, inside embryo, Neisseria gonorrhoeae is not transmitted. It is not congenital. It cannot cross the placenta. But during delivery, if mother's genital tract contains Neisseria gonorrhoeae, during delivery, this bacteria can enter infant's eye and it may lead to conjunctivitis in neonate. That is called ophthalmia neonatorum. So, among various clinical features, gonorrhea can be local gonorrhea or disseminated gonorrhea. Local gonorrhea, it is characterized by urethritis in males and urethritis and cervicitis in females. In case of hematogenous spread, in case of disseminated gonorrhea, it can cause endocarditis, arthritis, osteomyelitis, meningitis, etc. Along with this, it can cause complications such as pelvic inflammatory disease, pharyngeal gonorrhea, anorectal gonorrhea, perihepatitis, and ophthalmia neonatorum. Now, if we observe any of the clinical features, we have to perform lab diagnosis for its confirmatory diagnosis. For lab diagnosis of local gonorrhea, we have to collect various samples. Before collection of sample, we have to instruct patient to clean the genitalia with cotton soaked in normal saline. First, sterile cotton swab should be soaked in normal saline. Then, patient should be instructed to clean the genitalia with cotton soaked in normal saline. Then, we have to collect discharge, either urethral discharge or vaginal discharge. In case of females, vaginal discharge. In case of males, urethral discharge. Or in case of asymptomatic carriers, there is chance of asymptomatic carriage among females. So, endocervical swab from endocervix should be collected. So, we can collect either urethral discharge or vaginal discharge or endocervical swab. In case of chronic urethritis, we have to collect exudate after prostatic massage or morning drop secretions. So in sample collection, remember, first patient should be instructed to clean the genitalia with cotton soaked in saline. Then either urethral discharge or vaginal discharge should be collected, or in case of females, endocervical swab should be collected. In chronic urethritis, exudate after prostatic massage or morning drop secretion should be collected. Then it should be processed immediately. Otherwise, this bacteria is highly it can be easily destroyed. This bacteria do not survive in environment for long duration. So this sample should be immediately processed for lab diagnosis of this bacteria. In case of delay, we have to keep this sample in transport media, which is Stewart's transport media. Transport media for Neisseria gonorrhoeae is Stewart's transport media. Then, in processing, we can perform serology is not common for lab diagnosis of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Ultimately, we can perform PCR for detection of DNA, which is gold standard. Now, in microscopy, if we perform gram staining, we will observe gram-negative intracellular diplococci, pink-colored, two cocci appearing together and adjacent end is concave, so they appear as kidney or bean shaped. Gram immunofluorescence. When antibody conjugated with fluorescent dye is mixed with antigen or this clinical specimen containing Neisseria gonorrhoeae, and if we observe under fluorescent microscope, if Neisseria gonorrhoeae is present, it will appear greenish yellow fluorescing body under the fluorescent microscope. This is called immunofluorescence. So in microscopy, we can perform either gram staining, in which we will observe gram-negative diplococci, and we can perform immunofluorescence also. Other technique for lab diagnosis is culture. We can grow this bacteria either in chocolate agar or Thayer-Martin media. If we grow this bacteria, virulent or pathogenic bacteria, there will be growth of type 1 and type 2, T1 and T2 type of colonies, which are small, brown and glistening colonies which appear on chocolate agar or Thayer-Martin media. Similarly, for its further confirmatory identification, we can perform biochemical test. In biochemical test, it is generally biochemically inert, but if we perform oxidase test, This bacteria gives oxidase positive, and if we perform sugar fermentation test, only glucose sugar will be fermented. Remember, maltose will not be fermented, only glucose will be fermented. So, by microscopy, culture and biochemical tests, we can identify this bacteria. Ultimately, PCR, which helps in detection of this bacterial DNA, it is gold standard method. It 100% confirms the diagnosis of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. If we have, this is for lab diagnosis of local gonorrhea, but in case of disseminated gonorrhea, we have to collect various samples. We can collect either blood, because it is transmitted by hematogenous spread. We can perform blood culture, so blood can be collected. Or we have to collect aspirated fluid, such as cerebrospinal fluid, synovial fluid. If there is arthritis, we have to collect synovial fluid. If there is meningitis, we have to collect cerebrospinal fluid. In case of endocarditis, we can perform blood culture, so blood samples should be collected for culture. So samples to be collected include blood, CSF, synovial fluid according to site of involvement. Then in processing, if endocarditis is suspected, we have to perform blood culture. Then we can perform examination of fluids. If meningitis or synovial fluid is collected, smear examination can be performed. In smear examination, we will observe gram-negative diplococci. We can perform culture of aspirated fluids. In culture, again, chocolate agar or Thayer-Martin media will be used. Same, T1 and T2 colonies, small brown glistening colonies will be seen. In report, gram-negative intracellular diplococci, type 1 and type 2, small brown glistening colonies, oxidase positive and glucose sugar fermented, these biochemical tests. It confirms diagnosis of Neisseria gonorrhoeae, disseminated gonorrhea. Gonorrhea, with whom he or she has made sexual contact, unsafe sexual. There is safe sexual practice, and other general safety measures includes prophylaxis for gonorrhea. Remember, vaccine has no role in gonorrhea, so we must be careful. We must instruct people to remain alert. These are prophylactic measures. This is about gonorrhea. Causative agent is Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Now, a small topic, non-gonococcal urethritis. It is a separate topic. I think it is not necessary, but this is just for your information. I am giving you information. Non-gonococcal urethritis or non-specific urethritis. In short, NGU, non-gonococcal urethritis. Generally, in gonorrhea caused by Neisseria gonorrhoeae, there will be urethritis. But urethritis due to non-Neisseria gonorrhoeae causative agent is called non-gonococcal urethritis. There will be urethritis, but cause is not Neisseria gonorrhoeae. This type of urethritis is called non-gonococcal urethritis or non-specific urethritis. Causative agent of non-gonococcal urethritis can be Chlamydia trachomatis, Urea plasma urea lyticum, Mycoplasma hominis, Gardnerella vaginalis, Candida albicans, Trichomonas vaginalis, and viruses such as herpes virus and cytomegalovirus. They may lead to urethritis. Urethritis is not due to Neisseria gonorrhoeae, but due to these causative agents. This type of urethritis is called non-gonococcal urethritis or NGU. In case of non-gonococcal urethritis, there may be conjunctivitis and arthritis. So this is brief information about non-gonococcal urethritis. If patient is suffering from urethritis but causative agent is not Neisseria gonorrhoeae, or if it can be due to either of these other organisms, it is called non-gonococcal urethritis. This is just brief information. It is not in your syllabus, but this is just for your information. So today we have studied about gonorrhea. Causative agent is Neisseria gonorrhoeae bacteria. We have studied about morphology. In morphology of Neisseria gonorrhoeae, it is gram-negative intracellular diplococci, kidney or bean-shaped, capsulated and pileated. In cultural characters, it prefers presence of 5 to 10% carbon dioxide for its growth. It is capnophilic. It can grow on enriched media such as chocolate agar or selective media such as Thayer-Martin media. Generally, from clinical specimen, T1 and T2, type 1 and type 2 colonies will grow on chocolate agar or Thayer-Martin media, which are small, brown and glistening. In biochemical reactions, oxidase positive and only glucose sugar is fermented. Among virulence factors, capsule, pili, outer membrane protein, which contains 3 components, pore, OPA and RMP. Along with this, IgA protease and lipo-oligosaccharide endotoxin. These are virulence factors or antigenic characters. In pathogenesis, one mechanism is antigenic mimicry, changing it in its antigenic structure, which will lead to survival of this bacteria in urogenital tract of people. This is one mechanism. Other is due to various virulence factors, it will lead to development of clinical features of gonorrhea. This is pathogenesis. Among clinical features, gonorrhea can be of 2 types, local gonorrhea and disseminated gonorrhea. In case of local gonorrhea, it is characterized by urethritis in case of males, which is characterized by dysuria and continuous flow of discharge from non-erectile male urethra. In case of females, along with the urethritis, there can be urethritis and cervicitis. Cervicitis is characterized by foul-smelling discharge. This is about clinical features of local gonorrhea, urethritis and or urethritis cervicitis. Now, in disseminated gonorrhea, through hematogenous spread, through bloodstream, it can reach various body parts, which may lead to endocarditis, arthritis, osteomyelitis, or meningitis. These are disseminated gonorrhea. And along with urethritis and cervicitis and disseminated gonorrhea, it can cause various infections such as pelvic inflammatory disease, anorectal gonorrhea, pharyngeal gonorrhea, perihepatitis, and ultimately it can cause various other infections. In neonate, it can cause ophthalmia neonatorum. If we observe any of the clinical features of gonorrhea, mostly continuous discharge from urethra, which is foul smelling, we have to suspect gonorrhea and we have to perform lab diagnosis. In case of local gonorrhea, we have to collect urethral discharge or vaginal discharge, then we have to perform microscopy, culture, biochemical test. In case of disseminated gonorrhea, we can collect blood or CSF or any aspirated fluid, then synovial fluid. Then we can perform microscopy, culture and biochemical test, and ultimately PCR is gold standard for diagnosis of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Prophylactic measures, health education, safe sexual practice, and other parameters. These are prophylactic measures. This is about Neisseria gonorrhoeae and disease caused by